welcome back to the dining room. We are going to be refinishing this table, and if you can recall, a couple videos ago I showed how we got this table for free on the side of the road. So there are so many dings in it, but I feel like it has so much potential. So I'm going to be working on stripping this table and staining it and probably painting the bottom, because they had a puppy or something and just chewed through quite a bit of the base, and I'm going to have to repair that along with probably painting the base, because I don't see any other way to do it. So let's get started. Okay, so as you can see, it's pretty chewed up here from that puppy or whatever it is that they have. It is definitely MDF. So from what I have learned on YouTube University is that I need to sand this down and then maybe fill it in with some Bondo or something like that. So the other thing that the tutorial that I watched was that you need to go one direction rather than back and forth, because it'll actually wear it down too much. So this is just an 80 grit that I'm using as well. Okay, so I went ahead and put some stripper down with some plastic. I actually did the base of the table already, and I found that yes, the table legs were made of MDF, but there's veneer on top. So I have to be super careful with that I don't destroy it. And actually the finish came up pretty nicely. There's gonna be some sanding that needs to be done.
My first mistake was applying the stripper too thin, then covering it with plastic. I left it on for several hours. You can see that the plastic is really sticking to the table, and then it began to tear into pieces. The stripper had dried too much, so I was really having to scrape it off. Once I applied the stripper thicker, the finish came off very easily. There are so many intricate details, and applying the stripper so thick was really the best way to get it all off. I went over it with afterwash to neutralize the stripper with the scratch pad, and it got any last bit of stain off with very little effort. I am pleased with the way it turned out, but wish I would have figured out to apply the stripper thicker from the beginning to save myself some time.
But I'm trying to be super careful to where I can do this indoors, because it is February and I really don't want to take this table outside, especially since it's super heavy. And so the stripper that I use is Clean Strip, and it had very low VOC. It did not smell at all. I really had no trouble using it. And so for the top here, I used Clean Strip as well, but I guess it was like a different kind. It wasn't considered clean or low VOC because it is stinky in here. So I have opened up all the windows in our house to try to air it out, and thankfully it's a nice day, so I can do that today. But I can already tell that the stripper is working, because you can see where just with touching my finger to the plastic and moving the stripper around, it's already pulling right up. So I think this will be pretty easy, hopefully, to get this finish pulled up. But I really want to stain the top, so I hope like none of the veneer gets ruined. So as you can see, the chairs would just scoot up to the table and kind of bang up the edge. So right now I'm just putting in some wood filler just to fix those dings. But in reality, I know these will probably reappear with my family pushing their chairs up against the table. I don't know. But I'm refinishing this table, want to do it right, so I'm going to go ahead and fill these little nicks in the table. I am using this plastic wood filler to repair this chewed up foot here and base part, and it says that it can be troweled and molded. So I'm wondering if this would be a good option to repair this little area here. So I started filling in with a little bit of wood filler, and
I don't know. I mean, it says it's moldable, so I'm just going to make it kind of big and thick, and then maybe once it dries I can sand it down. I don't know. I've never done this before to where there's been this big of a repair on furniture, so I'm thinking this could work. It just seemed like a lot of work to just kind of to get that Bondo out, mix it, and all the things. I don't know. Maybe that's the better answer. I don't know. I guess we'll see. But it is on the base of the table, so if this does chip and fall off after sanding it and all of that, then I'll just Bondo it. No big deal. I wanted to show you guys how this turned out. That wood putty has dried, and I went ahead and sanded down the best that I could, and I think it actually turned out really nice. I'm hoping that the stain takes okay and it matches the rest of the table, but I think that's a pretty good mend of the table with it all chewed up, and then even all of this around the corner here, around the edges, I filled that in and sanded it in, so I'm hoping that it takes well. So now I'm gonna get started on the pre-stain and staining. Hopefully it turns out okay. Okay, so it has been about 20 minutes since I put the pre-stain on, and it says to wait about 20 minutes, but no more than 2 hours, and then put the stain on. Now, all of the wood in this room, our dining room, is kind of a darker wood, and it all kind of matches, and it's kind of, I don't even know, it kind of almost has like a red tone to it, and I really wanted to change up the table a little bit and make it maybe not, I mean, still have it dark, but not so matchy. So I picked out an aged barrel color of stain. I'm not sure how it's going to take to this wood, so I'm definitely starting on the base, and hopefully it'll turn out nice. I didn't want it to be completely matchy, so I don't know. I'm going to try on one little area here, and hopefully it'll be okay. Okay. Pause on the project. So none of this stain is sticking to the sides. I started putting stain on this foot here, and it is just running right off. So I obviously haven't stained in a while, and I think I'm gonna have to go get like a gel stain or something, because I mean, I want to share my mistakes with you guys, so if you do decide to take on a project for yourself, don't make the same mistakes I did. But it is just running right off. So I'm not going to be able to get the dark color that I'm really looking for. Kind of like that deeper grayish look. It's not penetrating very well. It's just running right off. So I'm going to try gel stain, and maybe that'll work. I found this full color stain in aged barrel when I went back to the store. The aged barrel didn't come in a gel stain, so I thought I would give it a try. Unfortunately, this stain didn't absorb any better. It would dry in some spots before others, and it was extremely blotchy. It looked horrible. I was pretty irritated, so I apologize for not getting any video footage to show you guys. Now, on to my next mistake. Okay, words cannot express how frustrated I am right now. That stain that I got, it's full coverage stain, and it just sits on top of the wood and doesn't penetrate the wood at all. So if you have any thoughts or ideas of what I could have done differently, I am open to any ideas, but it's so frustrating. So now I am resorting to paint. I am going to use this black paint, and I'm going to black wash the wood, so hopefully I can get that dark finish that I'm wanting but still be able to see the wood grain. I'm going to just water this down and just do like a black wash. Okay, so that was another failed attempt. Whenever I would wipe off that black wash, it would just dry in separate places, and I couldn't wipe it down fast enough.
I even tried spraying it with water first and then putting the black wash down, and still it was so streaky, it looked horrible. So I have stripped this table again, and I'm going to try to focus on the base rather than the top. I'm getting so frustrated because nothing is working. So the black wash actually took really well to the base. So now I'm going to try gel stain. It's black from Varathane, and hopefully it will take to those decorative little feet on the base and it'll all tie together. But I just am at a loss. I don't know what I'm doing wrong because I feel like I have prepped the wood really well, but yeah, yet again, another failed attempt. Okay, so after mixing all this up, this is totally reminding me of those blizzards, you know, at Dairy Queen where you could just flip it upside down and it would just stay. I mean, that's gel stain for you. I'm definitely not going to flip it over, but anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and try to apply this, and hopefully it turns out, because if this option doesn't work, I think we're probably going to be looking at painting, and I don't want to do that. What I don't understand is how this turned out so nice black washing it. It seems like the same kind of wood that's on the top of the table rather than this. I don't understand. Okay, so as I'm reading the directions, it does say to let the gel stain sit for about 2 to 5 minutes. And I applied it on this one little side area that's not part of the decorative part of the foot, and I don't know if it's just too thin or what, but it dried right away, and it is pretty solid black, which I think is okay. But for the feet, I still kind of want that wood grain to show through, so I don't want it to dry completely, and I don't want to paint the feet, but I don't know. Let's wipe it off and see what happens. Okay, that's not too bad. I think maybe it could have been alright staying on just a little bit longer. And definitely do not press too hard, because I've noticed when I press a little too hard, or when my gloves kind of catch the stain, it definitely wipes too much of the stain off. So I think that is key, is just wiping it off evenly. But see, I don't want lines of the stain. I want it to be even. Like, I don't know. And I feel like you can kind of see where my rag is here, like all the little streaks and everything. I mean, it doesn't look bad. It could work. Okay, something I do not want to do is take my gloves off, because I don't want this stain all over my hands. But my fingertips keep getting into the stain, and there's like little streaks everywhere because of my gloves. So really do not want to take these off. Maybe I'll go try to find some other ones, maybe not such big ones. Okay, so gel stain is definitely where it's at. This wood is totally soaking up that gel stain, and it is looking so nice. You can still kind of see there's like a brown tone to it. So it mixes really well with the base, and so it's got that black brown tone, looking so much better. And I feel like there's not as many streaks, but unfortunately I had to sacrifice my hand to take those big bulky gloves off. But it was worth it, because I didn't want any streaks from those stupid big gloves. They were just totally messing up the stain. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish off the rest of this table. I think this will work. Here is the finished product of how the little decorative feet turned out. So now I'm going to do the rim of the table, which is
this part right here. And I can already tell that it's the same wood as this little decorative foot. And I have put multiple coats on this foot just to get it dark enough. It's just not absorbing the stain very much. So I'm having to do several layers. So I really hope it comes out this dark and you can still see the wood grain is what I'm hoping. We'll see what happens. Okay, so I am actually pretty pleased with how this edge turned out. Just took one coat. It actually went on a lot easier than the base. So now I'm thinking, do I attempt the top again to try to get some of that orangey tone out? I think I'm gonna give it a try. Worst that'll happen, I'll just strip it off again. Well, that's a nice, pleasant surprise. That is really pretty. And it's actually taking the stain. So now, I just hope that it can be evenly spread over the table, because the last problem I had was that it was really streaky, like where it dried before I could get to it. Okay, I love how this turned out, and let me tell you, gel stain, it's where it's at. That's what I'm saying. I'm gonna go get Keith and see his reaction. What do you think?
Not bad.
Does it look a lot better?
Yeah, what'd you do to the top?
I put the gel stain on it.
Yeah, looks good.
Yeah, I like it. Finally, no streaking. And it like took the oranginess down. It was like that before. You satisfied?
Sure.
You don't seem as happy. Like, I tried like
You gotta work on this area down here now.
I tried like 5 different ways to get this right.
Look good. About time. You done it right first time. You had to.
He doesn't appreciate me. Okay, so I have let this table dry for several days. I just wanted to make sure that everything was dry and ready for polyurethane, and I wasn't going to worry about smearing the stain around or like dragging it. So I found this technique online on how to apply polyurethane to where it gives this very smooth finish. And what they do is they take like a little roller like this and just dip it and then drag it, and it actually has a very nice smooth finish of polyurethane. So that's what I'm going to try to do. Also, someone else had a pretty good tip. Rather than buying those liners that are, I think they're only like maybe $1 or something like that. This is just a Walmart bag, you know, just over a tray, and it works perfectly fine. I don't know why I didn't think of that sooner, so that's what I'm going to do. I was really hopeful that this technique would create a nice smooth finish, but it did not. It created so many bubbles and it went on so thick. I tried sanding it once it dried, but it was just too uneven. Okay, so you would think that these are all the mistakes I'm going to make on this table. No, you're wrong. I have another mistake. I was so frustrated with how uneven that polyurethane was from dragging the roller, which worked well for other people on YouTube, but not for me. It was just so thick. But anyway, I had to completely strip down this table again, and I restained it, put a poly coat on, and it looked fantastic. And I was so pleased with it. I let it dry, I want to say for about 2 hours, and then
I went back to try to do another coat, and that was a huge mistake. I really should have let that polyurethane cure just a little bit longer before putting that second coat on. So when I went to go put the second coat on, it created all these streaks in the polyurethane from my brush. So I have gone around and sanded the best that I can with 1500 grit sandpaper to try to get all these little lines out. Like when you rub your fingers over it, it's very smooth, but you can still see some lines. So I'm afraid that if I put another coat of polyurethane on, you're still going to be able to see those streaks. Okay, so here is my question. Since it's just polyurethane that has the streaking of where the brush went through and it created, you know, like these little brush marks. If I were to apply more polyurethane, will it fill in every single one of those little crevices and kind of level out? Because I've noticed that with my first coat, the polyurethane just kind of leveled and it looked so good. But now I'm wondering, okay, so I smoothed it out the best that I could, and there are still maybe just a little bit of brush marks where, I don't know, maybe the polyurethane will fill in. I'm hopeful, hopefully. And just so you know, I bought this polyurethane can, brand new. And I have used, I don't know, probably 3/4 of it with the amount of times that I have applied polyurethane and sanded it, stripped it off, all the things. So I'm ready to get this done. So hopefully this will work. Okay, it's the next day, so it's been drying for about 24 hours, and I'm actually pretty pleased with how well it leveled out from all that sanding that I did, from all the brush marks, like you can see all the strokes. But anyway, there are just a couple areas where there's like a bubble here and there. But then last night, my son came home and put his plate on the table from dinner, and I'm like, what are you doing? And it left a little scuff mark because it wasn't quite dry. I really wanted to give it 24 hours to dry. So I have a little scuff mark I need to sand down, so hopefully it'll be just fine. But my plan is I'm going to sand this down, try to get it as smooth as possible with like a really high grit, either 1500 or 2000. And then I'm going to put the final coat of poly on, and hopefully that'll be it, and this will turn out fine.
Okay, so this table has definitely been a labor of love. If you've made it this far and experienced all of my mistakes while refinishing this table, then please give me a thumbs up. So I went ahead and finished that last coat of polyurethane, and it's actually looking really nice. That little scuff mark that my son put in the table by accident, actually was able to sand buff that out just fine and then put the final coat on, and it's actually looking really nice. So I'm going to remind you of what the table looked like before, and then I will show you the after. Thanks again for watching.